in a certain way, like, do you rock just normal meta drafts and normal meta bans, or are you going to go for more specific bands that counter out the opposing players? And you just never can really tell. I mean, right here we see the Aphelios getting taken out really early for Catalyst Blaze and Camille. So those are two picks that are pretty strong currently in the meta. And at least for the first week, until people start proving themselves on more, like unique picks, I do expect just to see a lot of the meta being banned away.
Yeah, and so far, pretty strong picks being banned away. Pantheon having that point and click stun can be very problematic, especially with those more recent buffs where he actually does a bunch of damage throughout the entirety of the game. So don't want to deal with that. I do like this game plan of banning away these kind of safe, kind of high damaging marksmen
Hmm.
of the Aphelios and the Kaisa. It does kind of limit things. So far, I'm thinking that we're going to see Catalyst Blaze attempt for that first pick Jin. That does seem to be what's on the table here. It's still incredibly strong. It's does everything you really want from an AD carrier right now. Plus, it just melts people. It explodes them.
Yeah, no, it totally does. But I had a point for that, but I'm totally switching it around at this point because they banned Seraphine, and granted, I feel like Seraphine's in an okay place, but I just don't really see how that's ever gonna be the best band that you can bring into a matchup, considering the power and prominence of some of the other supports that are currently viable. So interesting band there. By all means, maybe they know something about Catalyst Blaze that I don't, and they do want to get that pick off. But we are getting some picks so far. So the first pickup is Shen talking about safe bottom laners. Let's talk about a really safe top laner in the Shen.
Yeah, I do love the Shen. If Zephyr were here, he'd be all over it. It's his favorite character in the game. I'm sure he has actually a body pillow of it at home as well. So that is going to be a great flex pick here. It can go top, it can go jungle, it can go support. It really leaves the entire map open. What we're seeing from Glaives, though, is one of the strongest starts you can have in the current meta. They get the Graves jungle to really make that fast clear into roaming, into helping out the teams, and picking up that Maokai support. That Imperial Mandate build is still bonkers. Riot
Yeah.
hasn't nerfed it just yet. So definitely a strong pickup. Catalyst Blaze are going to end up with the Jin at the end of the day. It just wasn't that first pick. And so far, this is a bonkers draft from both teams. These teams are really, really pulling out all the stops here in their first game.
Yeah, Bonkers is feeling pretty correct so far. Hecarim and Jin grabbed up by Catalyst Blaze with a Vayne as Akuma's final pick
Mm.
in the first round. And okay, so far what I'm seeing is a lot of scrappiness out of both of these teams. You look over at the Shin and the Hecarim; these are some of the best frontliners you can ever get. Great at just jumping in and blowing somebody up, but fortunately for the Glaives, they drafted two pretty high damage carries that are kind of hard to jump onto is part of their shtick here. And Vayne almost feels like the perfect pick to take into Shin and Hecarim since she can just do so much true damage throughout these fights. And those saplings from Maokai just make Jin's life miserable.
Yeah, and as we head into the second half of the ban phase, I'm becoming interested in where the Vayne's actually gonna go. She's been seeing more play in the top lane than that bottom lane as of recent. So with them assuming it could potentially be that Shen top, I think that is a pretty strong pick because it doesn't give Shen that free farm lane that they
Mhm.
can get used to in these handshake matchups. And what we're seeing from the Glaives is they're banning away these counter supports that really give Maokai a bit of a hard time. So it's up to Kato's Blizz to find something left. There are still some options. Rel's available. Bard. We could see something funky that we're not quite known as of yet. I think the Rel is actually so far going to be a really strong pick. She can team up with those frontliners, really, really create a hard line in the sand that you cannot get past to the Jin. And she's just very interesting as a champion. And with all these shields, with the Scion pick, you just break them down, you get a free shot in. Rel's looking pretty good. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't hate the rail pickup here. Scion, though, I mean, I thought Jin's life was hard before. Now it's going to be basically impossible for him to navigate these team fights as long as there's a moment to set up for the Glaives. Swain's gonna be the support to pair up with the Jin, and I'm a Bard player, and I will find a way to work Bard into every broadcast I ever do. But Swain's my nightmare. And whenever I pull out the yellow clown man, Swain just absolutely blows me up. And granted, there's no Bard in this matchup, but I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the whole point of that pick is you want to absolutely destroy people in lane and then kind of snowball off of that advantage. Anivia is one of the best and most frustrating control mid laners that you can really match up against right now. And now that we get to see the entire Catalyst Blaze lineup here for their picks, what are your impressions here?
Hmm. I do like it. I think overall it's a pretty strong draft. Obviously, they have the Shen top, the Hecarim
Yep.
jungle, Jin Swain bottom with the Anivia mid. The Anivia mid is the weird pick to me here. And some of you at home who may have just started playing are thinking to yourself, why is that a weird pick, Doctor? And the weirdness of it is that it's completely blind, right? Like they did not know what the Akuma Glaives were going to be picking for their mid laner. Anivia, not the safest of mid laners. Yes, right at the end of our last Excellency season, she got buffed pretty heavily, does
Mhm.
a billion damage now and can really blow people up. But again, she's very immobile, doesn't have a point and click stun. You can get around it with some shenanigans, and it can just be really difficult to pilot into some of these more volatile matchups. And so Akuma Glaives recognizing that, picking up the Echo, who received jungle buff, so it's not going to matter in the mid lane as much, but is that mid AP assassin that can do incredibly swampy things to the Anivia, lock him down, pin him down, burst him out, and then in the later game also becomes a split push threat if they don't get anybody to match that. They'll probably end up facing off against the Shen, which is why it's great that they have the Scion top for that less magic-y damage top.
I really would have liked for them to have gone for a more concrete idea versus kind of having this like prong style attack. Look over at the Glaive side. I can guess what they're gonna do. Can you guess what they're gonna
Yeah, they're gonna W key for lack of a better term. They're just gonna get their items. They're gonna hit level 6. They're gonna press those R keys, and they're gonna walk away with some kills. And they're really gonna try and show up to it. And it's gonna be a situation where even if I think Kato's Blaze get to those objectives first, it's still a concern because you can
do?
get the magic roots from the Maokai into the Choo Choo Train from Scion, into the parallel convergence of the Echo, and then Vayne Graves can just sit on the backside, which granted they're low range carries, but they're damage carries.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what Mythic Vayne goes. There's been a lot of talk recently on Reddit, not so much on Twitter that I've seen, but about like what mythics are actually viable on carriers for right now. Kraken Slayer, crazy good. Immortal Shield Bow, you see it. I've been seeing it a lot the last 2 weeks. As soon as the Reddit post came up and said that Shield Bow was garbage, and then since I saw that post calling it bad, I've
Mhm.
seen more and more people pick it, including Graves Jungle. So interesting to see how the item selection will be going on here.
Yeah, items can make or break a game of League at this point, and of course, you have to keep in mind the need for grievous wounds. I feel like any League of Legends broadcast you bring up, it gets mentioned because of how fundamental it is in the game of League of Legends at this juncture. There are so many champions and so many items that give you just an insane amount of healing. You're basically it's like a I don't know, it's like your ticket to get onto the League of Legends bus at this point. You have to buy some grievous wounds, and that's always something that I want everybody to keep an eye out for. And I'll make a little prediction that if one of these teams neglects to get any, that's probably going to be the team that loses. But I do believe we are about ready to throw it over to a quick broadcast break before we get into the game. So thank you so much for everybody who's tuned in thus far to watch us get into our week 1 action of Heavy League Excellency. And you're going to get introduced to our awesome casters from our skit earlier. But in the meantime, we will see you guys after the game to see how I might be looking with my bets. So stick around, folks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome here to Excellency Esports Heavy League Season 2 Springtime, as it's a little bit cold outside for my liking, DJ, but nonetheless, week 1 here, Akuma Glaives versus Catalyst Blaze. Couldn't be more excited to kick off the season with these two teams. We got a little bit of an introduction from our analyst S, but I'm curious, DJ, I know you got a big brain up there, so please break down what we're about to witness here.
Yeah, so what are we about to witness? It's a bit of an interesting draft, I would say, from both sides. You can see what was coming from Catalyst Blaze on the far side with that Shen Hecarim early pick. Want to get that Hecarim in, get the Shen in over the top. It's a tried and true method of a lot of top teams, both in our region and in other regions around the world. But I think, as mentioned by our analyst, that's a little bit interesting with that Anivia pick. Really doesn't go with the theme of trying to get in over the top there, provide some sort of engage. Swain does give a similar amount of zone control, but he can move forward really. Nivea has to put it down and stay in the same place, but we'll see how that does operate in conjunction with the rest of their squad. If we look over at the side of Akuma Glaives, I think it's a lot of comfort here. I know that Nightstar is a huge Vayne player. Toy picking up a poke support as well, but most importantly, sticking to their strength, there is a lot of freedom for individual expression on these champions, or at least on the carry champions. Of course, Sion and Maokai going to be a little bit more limited in their gameplay, but all three of the carries have a lot of individual skill expression. I think that's what they would have wanted to draft here on night number 1.
Oh, we're going to get some early action on night 1 indeed. Red's going to come in with a nice early ghost, a level 2 gank with a Hecarim. Ambitious, to say the least. Not going to find very much. They'll get Toy's Flash, though. And with some early warding going down as well, both of these teams knowing where each jungler is going to begin, or at least where their pathing will take them over time. And an early gank from Red. Won't find much. Still fishing for that first blood, but these teams awfully giddy to get off to a quick start.
Yeah, interesting thing there. Even though he did get the flash off of Toy on the Maokai, it's actually a 2 summoner for 1 with the Ghost and the Ignite being popped for just the support's flash. It will keep them safe from any potential Maokai engage, but I don't really think the bottom lane of Akuma here will be looking for an engage too much in the early portions. Vayne, a champion that doesn't really want to fight, particularly against the Swain Jhin in the early stages. We're going to look to poke out and try to stay alive as they build up to that level 6 area. So I don't think Akuma Glaives will be too bothered by what happened down here.
Yeah, totally going to find an engage onto Roach as the Swain had roamed up the river, but the root will come through, and the passive from Cinema will pull him back, but they're not going to get enough damage. And I want to quickly mention here, DJ, that level 2 gank may have made a difference in this one so far, is Red is thoroughly being outpaced now. Superstar already on the scuttle. You can see Red has made his way to topside river as well, but he's already 3 camps behind this Graves.
Yeah, and really good warding, actually. A early deep ward, I believe, came from AKM there in the mid lane. Actually spotted out the pathing of the jungler Hecarim there after he made that bot lane gank. So just has allowed Superstar to have exactly the start he would want. Could have been, was basically anywhere he wanted to be, as you mentioned, took away 3 different camps. So he'll be feeling great about how this one has started off, and we'll continue to try to build up that CS difference. We know what a Fed Graves can do as the game progresses.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game against the Hecarim. As many camps as you can take away from the horse, it is absolutely your goal to do that. Now Red might find a missing Krug camp. That's all he's going to look at. He'll charge.
Oh, that feels bad.
That it is missing. Red will get away with no prize collection, and now we're going to get our first spaces coming through. Giga going to get his on top, Giga on top side. Superstar going to take his first space, and with all that gold in his inventory, a lot of early power for this Graves. So with Dragon spawning in about 15 seconds, we'll see if this Graves is going to path bot side in order to make that objective. You can already see the pings coming down.
Can already see the pings. Everyone knows that the bases have come in as first items are picked up. Dragon spawning here. You can see the bot lane now making their backs, although Nightstar making a very bold back right in the face of that Swain. Not really sure what you were expecting there. He does have a nice long-range ability in his kit. We'll just pop that one to inconvenience Vayne here, but it could set up for potential Drake setup, as they know that the Vayne hasn't been able to back to pick up any items at the moment.
Yeah, and Superstar's going to make his way over to this one, knowing that he has that early advantage. Red's here, pop down a control ward that he's picked up on his first base, so might get a little bit of an early tussle here in the river. Cinema going to land the never move on to Nightstar. Ignite ticking. We'll be all right for now. You see a little bit more trading going down on top side to follow, but the real fight is breaking out here as Dragon, as Akuma Glaives have no way into this river. It is taken by Red. Giga getting aggressive here on the Scion. Major winners, maybe we want to be a little careful with this trade. Got a lot of health on that Scion, but it is first Dragon going the way of Catalyst Blaze.
Yeah, is indeed. And we'll take a look at some skirmishing in the mid lane here. Don't think ACAM will die. Yep, should just be able to dash over the wall there. No problems at all. But good work there by Catalyst Blaze, taking advantage of the strength of some of these early game champions. You can see there's a bit of a CS discrepancy in mid lane. Not too big, but enough to allow Anivia to back and run all the way to that Drake to help out. And oh boy, going in for this one.
The flash force shot did a lot of damage with that Dark Harvest, but Toy lives to tell the tale, and both these teams still looking for that first blood. Lot of damage coming down from this bot lane, and they secure first Dragon for their team, so they are pushing their advantage, but haven't found much outside of that. You can see Nightstar doing well for himself to keep up in the CS department, but you can't say the same throughout the rest of this series. You can see Fluke falling relatively far behind here in mid lane, and of course Red has been set so far behind with that early pathing decision, using that Ghost early on, and now he's going to pay the price as he's 15, now 12 CS down. Oh, excuse me, 17 CS down. Math is hard to this Graves.
No worries there, Necrox. And yeah, I am a bit concerned about really the jungle difference. CE almost going down here too, the red buff. I think he did have that one calculated, of course, but it does look a little nervy as he clears his camps. But jungle difference is always a big deal. You know, jungle is consistently voted as the most important role at the moment by high elo players, and that's who we have on the Rift today. And Graves is a champion that has so much agency as the game progresses. There's multiple build paths that can absolutely turn team fights, burst people out. He is getting everything he wants, and despite the gaps in a couple of the other lanes, it's still that Anivia who doesn't really fit with the idea of Catalyst team comp. They want to go
Putting some pressure on this Anivia. She'll be alright for now. Cinema gonna clear out some vision, but all the meanwhile, while that fight was going down bot side, it was a 4v5. I thought all members had shown up, but Superstar just keeping up his jungle pathing on a good invade, and even got Rift Herald to boot. That one's gonna be fine. Nightstar is gonna find his way in here. Cinema has Cinematic Ascension, but it doesn't matter if you can't get the full horse off. Condemned into the wall and condemned to your death. Wonderful play there from the Bane, and
I don't like this TP. This is dangerous
as well. The TP is indeed dangerous, to say the least. Has to flash to the parallel convergence. Red is low, and that is a Nibia egg that will be broken. And they find a Hecarim as well. 6-1. Excellently done. And this game is getting out of control.
Superstar there at the end with the flash ulti to pick up the final kill on CE Red, and Akuma Glaives busted open here on 10 minutes. It's a 3.5k gold lead off of a clean fight. Starts off with the slow engage from Nightstar. She kites around the Swain abilities absolutely beautifully. Gets the condemn into the wall to finish that kill off. Jin is left for dead. He can't do enough damage. to this Maokai, already very tanky, has all that healing. And then that TP coming in from Kalma, I'm not sure what that was. It was certainly late. That doomed the Anivia to a death as well, and it all falls apart here for Catalyst Blaze. What a fight for Akuma. They've busted this one open, and they have the scaling comp here, Necrox.
Indeed they do, and if you want to judge your laners' TPs, it's always not a good sign that they have to flash the moment they spawn wherever they're teleporting to, and Kalima not being able to turn that one around, losing the passive and losing the life as well on this Anivia. So 6-1 and a 4-ish K gold lead for Akuma Glaives. Catalyst Blaze are struggling. They've been the one to pull the trigger in these fights. You saw the stand united onto red in the bot lane initially. This time, it was a little bit of a cheeky play by Akuma, but Catalyst was still ready, and still, they can't turn it around even with the TP from the Anivia, so they certainly need to find something here, whether it's a big team fight in an open area with that stand united, or if it's picks. I'm not sure what they're looking for, DJ, but certainly not going their way so far.
Yeah, isn't going their way, particularly after that last fight. Do see resets coming in here. One thing to notice, we have our first mythic item coming in. Guess who it's on? It's Graves. It's Superstar, picking up the Immortal Shield Bow. He is absolutely the strongest member on the map at the moment. We should see some mythic items rolling in here for a couple other members pretty soon, but what an accelerated jungle we have here, and they're setting up for something in the bot lane.
Yeah, what is this? Toy and Nightstar are toying with their food, if you will. And they're just gonna pop the Nature's Grasp. Curtains have opened, and a great root will find one, but the bullets won't connect, and red is dead already, and it's an ult out from Fluke. He'll chrono break out of danger, and they find a free kill onto red in the jungle.
Absolutely love it here from Akuma Glaives. They know how strong they are. They know they can't lose these fights. They just send 4 members on priority down into the enemy jungle. They ward it out. They spot the pick. They pick it up, and you can see how hard it is for the Jhin. Our analyst talked about it on the desk to even access the fight. He feels like the only thing he can do is launch that ultimate from long range, and what are you going to do? You're shooting it into a Maokai, a Graves with a Mortal Shield Bow, and Echo who can just ult away. It's exactly what happens, and now they're in trouble getting dove.
Yeah, they might be in trouble again. Condemn finds the target once more. Nightstar has slain Cinema. He looks so incredible this game. Red forced to pop the ghost to get away from this vein. Those silver bolts hurt. Even without Kraken Slayer, 1-8, this game has not gone in the favor of Catalyst Blaze. We thought this one was going to be close, but it looks like we had a couple cheeky predictions on the analyst desk, and, well, I'll say one of them was right for the evening. I'm sure they'll have a nice conversation later after this game is over, but Akuma Glaives certainly look better tonight, certainly coming out strong out of the starting gates, and all that damn gold before the turret broke on Nightstar, that is going to hurt when this vein completes her itemization.
Oh, absolutely will, and she's going to go finish that itemization right now. Nightstar is going to be so strong, along with this Graves, both over 100 CS, couple kills in their pocket, and it is just snowballing out of control here. The only positive really for Catalyst is that dragon they have to their name, which will slow down any potential stacking that will come out from the side of Akuma Glaives, but they have a long way to go here. And again, a composition that really wants to team fight with this Hecarim, able to jump into multiple members, get that shielding from the Shen. They really have to kind of flex it here. I think they can only really go for picks. I think a 5v5 at this point is going to be beyond them unless it is really, really in a jungle choke point where Anivia has perfect setup. I think that's the only way a big team fight goes in the favor of Catalyst.
Yeah, you need all that AoE with Anivia. Hecarim, and even Swain, you need all the damage, and you need to find it on priority targets. Speaking of priority targets, the AD carry is dead to rights. He flashes, and Fluke doesn't have the damage to follow through. So Roach gets away just by the skin of his teeth, but I'm not sure it matters. You lose your flash and your Jhin, you lose all priority bot lane, and Akuma Glaives still have pressure everywhere they want to apply it.
I do like the timing there from OG Roach. Saves his flash for the perfect time. Smartly waits for Echo to use that E ability before hitting his flash. Gets rid of the gap closer, but you can see he just went back and picked up a Noon Quiver. He just picked up a Noon Quiver. Necrox.
Oh no.
Look at the other side.
Yeah, and when you're picking up a quiver with some arrows in it, and your opponents have this fancy looking gadget that kills you in 3 auto attacks, it doesn't do very much good for you, as Akuma Glaives certainly are going to outpower and outmuscle Catalyst Blaze wherever they do decide to meet, and I truly mean that. Akuma Glaives can decide where to fight, where to walk, where to ward, and where and when to win this game. As you can see, they're going to get their second Drake of the game, the first Infernal, which is our Rift for Game 1 tonight. And it'll go over the favor of Superstar, and they are in utter control of this game. It is really just a question of how they want to play this one out. Are they going to wait to force the issue? Are they going to wait for Baron? They just can decide as they have the leisure in their back pocket. Is Giga is just going to wave goodbye to the Shen, as he is a very, very tanky Scion.
We haven't talked a whole lot about the top lane. I do apologize to them, but when you have a Shen Scion matchup, you pretty much know what's going to happen from the off. They're going to, slap each other a few times, trade teleports in a bot lane fight, and that's pretty much how it's going to go. So we'll see that for a lot longer here, as their teleports is available for Giga, not available for Major Winters, but of course does have that Shen ultimate ready and available. As now you talked about where the side of Akuma Glaives wants to walk, where they want to go, where they want to ward. Right now it is top side enemy jungle. They are setting up for this second Rift Herald.
They are going to take everything here at DJ. Is anywhere Red goes, it is Superstar and crew to follow, as there is no way any of this jungle, any of this gold belongs to Red anymore. And you can see that Goldly, it has inflated its balloon. That's what you expect when a team is this far ahead so early on. And it's not going to grow any smaller, as the Rift Herald has been popped, and it will be dropped in the mid lane.
Is that Rift Herald going to pop down the turret? Won't take it out completely, so fortunate there, but you can see they're just losing all their camps here as they deal with that Rift Herald, taking away the chickens, sitting on the red buff, but now might be trying to make a play onto the Graves.
They're going to try to find Superstar. This would be a nice bounty to collect. Onslaught of Shadows is there. Deadly Flourish doesn't find the market. But here we go. Third shot connects. Shield goes there. Fourth shot won't find the mark. Superstar is going to have to heal from Nightstar in tune. He's going to have to tumble flash away. The execution is there from Roach. But what at cost is he's going to lose his life for it. Fluke is on a rampage. He's found the 80 carry. Winters now going low, has come into the fight with the Stand United, but certainly is going to fall. It's a shotgun to the back in the end that does him in. And Red scrounging the CS, but oh boy, he's got two with his hands in the cookie jar, and he'll go down just trying to collect his own red buff. And Roach gets the shutdown onto the Vayne, but they lose 3 in the process.
Yeah, it's another beautiful fight here for the side of Akuma Glaives. The one error is I think Nightstar goes a little too far trying to help out the jungler. But the fight started with Superstar getting caught out a little bit in the enemy jungle, trying to take away that chicken camp. He has to flash over the wall. They get him low, but guess who ends the fight? Necrox, it's still Superstar. They couldn't kill him the entire fight. He healed up on the Immortal Shield blow. He ends up picking up a kill and an assist in the fight. And there's just so much damage with all the golden items available here. You can see AKM flashing in to clean up the final kill there onto CE Red. Even with the loss of the Vayne, there's just such a gap in power between these two teams at the moment. That is almost as good as I think Atlas Blaze could hope for, at least in a lane. I think in a jungle fight where Anivia can truly set up and have an impact, they could have a better outcome. But again, it's just not what they drafted for. It's going to be really weird to try to switch up their composition to play that way. But I think that is really the way you have to try to beat the Akuma Glaives right now.
Yeah, and this Anivia wasn't there for the last fight, so we did get not enough detail on her damage. Superstar, good smite secure there. They'll take that one away. And Anivia without blue buff, that's a sad, sad story. You can see the mana bar for this Anivia is so low, forced to reset. And because of that, everyone on Catalyst Blaze has to respect the potential for Akuma Glaives to pull this trigger. And they're now going to take their own resets. You can see that shield bow in hand, and has been upgraded from a serrated dirk to a full-on collector for this Graves. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the first 2 item power spike in the game.
Oh, absolutely. That is a massive power spike here for the Graves. Fully online, really, with just those 2 items. Only other member that can probably be comparable is actually likely AKM here. Has 10 stacks already Ana Magi sitting at 5-0-3 in the mid lane. Vayne has been slowed down a little bit and has actually opted for the Ginsu second here. Interesting choice. It does depend game to game. I was watching Tactical stream talking about the differences between picking up that item or a Blade of the Ruin King, which has been getting a little bit more popular with Vayne's, despite it being more of a bruiser item these days. So go figure there. But nevertheless, it still is a 10K gold lead here at 21 minutes for the side of Akuma Glaives. They're setting up for this next Drake. Look at the deep vision they already have. It's going to be so hard for Catalyst Blaze to walk in here.
Yeah, they have no room at all to spare. The vision control and the dirty work is being done. Toy gonna take down that a bit of a pink ward, and they'll secure the dragon, no problem. Third dragon, soul point, as it was so aptly coined. And now the game begins for Catalyst Blaze, as they have to find a way somehow to get back into this one, even if there is one. This might just be a Baron start here. Akuma certainly thinking about starting this one up, but there is a ward here. They'll clear that one out. And now, Akuma Glaives. Is this the call? Not yet, at least. They will wait a little bit longer.
Yep, think that was what they were looking for. They're just waiting for the timer, the cooldowns to reset. As oh boy, Roach, you are so far up. Good thing. Oh, thank Gale Force there. We 80 carries. No, that in the old days, that's a death right there. Necrox, that is 100% dead. Actually, they're just gonna go right on Baron. I'll stop talking here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right, trying to get your CS in mid lane, and all of a sudden there's an echo that flies over the wall. No Gale Force in the olden days, but Roach gets out. But you trade, I guess, Gale Force for a Baron. That's a classic trade here for this Jhin, and unlucky for Catalyst Blaze, as there's really no way for them now to find a fight, to find anything. They can't push lanes, they can't get a turret, as they have found absolutely no standing gold on this map to take on their own. And now all we have to wait for is where Akuma Glaives decides to end this one. Is it through one Baron push? Are they going to wait for Soul? I'm just interested in your thoughts, DJ. If one, Catalyst Blaze has an angle back into this one, or two, if Akuma Glaives can end on this Baron.
I mean, I think Akuma can end on the Baron if they do want to fight. I think what they're going to want to do is try to push up mid or bottom lane as fast as they can. Don't really want to push into an Anivia, though. See if you can take a turret down, maybe an inhib if you're lucky, before falling back to that Drake. I think you'll expect them to start placing some more control wards down in that bottom side of the jungle. You can see Graves hitting the plant at the moment, trying to set up here for that fourth Drake. It's just a freebie for them at this point. It should be, and it will be a decision for Catalyst whether it's the hill they want to die on, or if they will just wait, take that one, and try to make a defense in their base. If you are Catalyst, you either have to try to make a pick happen before one of these fights, or you have to wait for your Anivia to get strong. Again, your win condition in draft was your Hecarim. You set up to give Hecarim the extra shielding, the extra support from these champions, and he fell behind early on after that level 2 gank. It did burn a flash, but from that moment on, he has not been able to set foot in his jungle. It's been an absolute clinic of pathing and really just taking advantage of your enemy's mistakes from Superstar, who is so far ahead, about to flame horizon his jungle opposition. And with that win condition taken away, the pivot has to be to the Anivia. She's 1-1 here. She's really the strongest member. The Jhin will continue to fade as time goes on. You know, he can get in there for some execution damage, but isn't going to be a great team fighter. And it's just awkward for a draft that was planned around a different champion to have to pivot due to the situation of the game. That's why I think they gave up the Baron, just allowing Kael'Na to farm up in the bottom lane, try to get to a point where she can start to do damage. Is on 2 items almost to boots, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with you here. You're going to have to find a pick. You're going to have to find something. And with your Hecarim being so far behind, it's just really hard to make that pick happen. He's the champion that really allows that sort of play style. You can throw the Stand United on the back of that really fast horse. But if you don't have the damage, you don't have the burst to get in there and then make that play, you really don't have an angle back into this one. And I would agree. The hill is being raised now, and it's just a question of, do they want to mount their defense in the base if this Baron push does continue? Is it slowly going to wear out? Or are they going to fight at Soul? Or are they going to try to mount a defense after Soul and go for Elder? It's really up to Catalyst Blaze at this point. But if you quickly look across the board, the itemization is nowhere near equal. You've got a 10-stack Mages on the Echo, I believe, and Vayne hitting 3 items as well. You've got Scion, who's as tanky as Get Out. Even the Maokai having some fun picking up his first item as well. So the goal discrepancies truly being shown here, and I think we might be headed to our game-ending fight as Catalyst Blaze look towards this soul.
Could be. That's. Did he take that?
Yeah, he did.
That's just rude. That is so. Oh, look at the damage there from the Imperial Mandate from Maokai. This is just disgusting. They've already chunked the jungler down to half as this dragon about to spawn in 14 seconds. A hook here, though.
Hey, they found one. The Ignite ticking down, and Kelma has found one. This Fluke is just going to assassinate Roach. He couldn't heal. He couldn't flash, and Gale Force Gaming doesn't get you out of that one. The AD carry is down, and they'll take that trade every day of the week. It's support for AD. Giga's here over the top, wants to allow some sort of funny business for a seal to go through, and Red has gone down. Soul goes over to Akuma Glaives. Everyone's flashing over the wall, and this has got to be the end. Nightstar is here, and Superstars on a rampage. They will take this game, no problem. The wall only stalls, as it's an ace for Akuma Glaives. It's 5-0, and they'll take the Baron. They'll take the Soul. They'll take the base. Akuma Glaives gonna cleanly win this one.
Yeah, cleaning them all up left, right, and center there, Necrox. What a clean performance here to start out the season for our newbies in Akuma Glaives. They came in with some bold predictions that they would be a top 4 side, and they are showing it here today in game number 1, the opening game of Spring Split Season 2 for Heavy League of Excellency. They're going to put down the Nexus, and they will take it to the second match. Oh, maybe they won't.
Maybe if they wanted to,
they're making us look ridiculous. They can hear us, Necrox. They can hear us.
Yeah, it's a caster's curse. That is that is what it is, and they just want to pad the stats. Really, that's all they're doing. They definitely could have ended that game if they just simply walked up and autoed the Nexus, but instead they will base with Infernal Soul, and they'll look for one more fun fight as the gold lead is now completely inconsiderate to any Catalyst Blaze fans. Akuma Glaives really definitely could have ended that one out, but they may just look for another Baron here at DJ, just to really put Catalyst Blaze 6 feet under. And honestly, they may be thinking about a little bit of a mental warfare here. If you do this to your team, this could be just devastating mentally.
Yeah, it could be. If we get an interview with Giga later and he tells me that this wasn't for padding stats, then this is the slowest approach of all. It reminds me of Team Liquid back in the day when they just refused to do anything if they didn't have second Baron, but they're going to take second Baron. They will walk this one into the base. But as you mentioned, the game extending here, the gold lead extending, there's really just not a way back in for Catalyst at this point in the game. You know, we could try to come up with some strategies. You know, there's still a chance to get a pick like you did on Toy in the last fight, but you saw what happened after you got a pick on Toy. You got flanked by AKM and your AD carry got one shot. I mean, it's just so hard with the gold difference at the moment, and the champions on the side of Akuma Glaives are just going to march this in and take us to game number 2. And I think if you're Catalyst Blaze, you just got to be thinking of how to improve draft and the beginning of the game for game number 2.
Certainly, heads up and minds onward as this game is all but wrapped up, and as they'll take the base here, there's no point in making this one super exciting, as Akuma Glaives certainly have this one wrapped. They will take 2 inhibs either side lane, and here we go, the game-ending fight. Wall will be thrown up. There's the damage from Anivia. The curtains have been called inside the base and inside the fountain, but I don't think you're even safe there. Kelma will go down. Onslaught of Shadows does a lot of damage, but Shield Bow, what an item. It is GG, game over. They don't get one. Another 5-0. Clean ace, double kill at the end for Nightstar. But Akuma Glaives, an excellent showing after questionable pathing from Red.
Showing that they have the skill to back it up in game number 1. We'll see if they can back it up in game number 2, but I have very high hopes and expectations, and I'm very excited to see more of this squad after that game number 1. That